final two participants in this part of the programme are both teachers, and we'll start with Ben Kirk, who is a teacher at Strangford Integrated College. So Ben's going to share his perspective on this. Thank you, Ben.
Hi folks, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Thank you. I've really been kind of moved a wee bit by hearing, particularly from, I suppose maybe more so from a parental background. I really get from a teacher, I can maybe get 5-minute windows on parent-teacher interviews for parental input. It's never really anything more meaningful than that. And seeing opportunities to speak to teaching and learning assistants as well, I can't understate how limited and time restricted we are in schools as well. But anyway, just a wee bit of context on myself. I'm the head of religious studies department at Strangford Integrated College. Prior to that, I was 10 years in Scotland, in Glasgow and Edinburgh, teaching RE. I suppose what I thought my contribution for tonight would really just been breaking this down into RE as a subject and our response to kind of collective worship. And it's framed by a circular, I suppose, which went out to head teachers as well. I thought I'd just run through that. Okay, so firstly, just so that you can hear an RE teacher, often maybe you don't hear this respected very much, the nature of RE, I am delighted that RE is moving down a more academic, objective, critical and plural pathway. I'm delighted, although maybe some of you may feel the steps haven't went far enough. There is a diversity of stakeholders and input in this drafting group that is being formed at the moment. Inspections, I'm going to regret saying this in a couple of years, I cannot wait to be inspected. RE, the framework for inspection, it's just not there. And I remember a head teacher of many years, my last employment in Glasgow, and he said, look, RE has always either been a treasure or a travesty. And the fact that we don't know and can't pick up on who's here and where's where is a major issue. And also finally, I'm delighted that RE's been opened up, the value of it, and I've always mentioned that tonight, a space, a specific and explicit space, not, we've had art and English and other subjects and music mentioned, but an explicit space for young people to develop their own beliefs and values by learning about the beliefs and values of others. Please don't underestimate just how valuable, and that Norman's right, it could be lost in a way, so that this opportunity does need seized in a way. Anyway, I thought for framing this, I thought on the right of withdrawal, there's plenty of discussion going on about this at the minute, and most of the kind of school policies, I'm meeting with our board of governors at the minute to discuss this withdrawal policy of our school. And very quickly, a summary to all head teachers is going as follows. Parents are informed at admission and annually the right to withdrawal. Withdrawal is facilitated through a simple confidential form without reasons or expectations. Requests are immediately granted. Partial withdrawal is permitted. Schools have an appropriate, non-stigmatising alternative arrangement in place. Withdrawal of children should participate in meaningful, supervised alternative activities. A confidential register is maintained. Collective worship is not the primary vehicle for school-wide communication, and non-religious school gatherings are held at least once per term. Now, when I see this, and I think of my own RE department and how, I suppose, understaffed and under-resourced, and the resourcing pressures that head teachers will have as well, I say good luck embedding all of that. Where are the resources? Where will they be from, providing this meaningful alternative? And particularly if I'm thinking we have a grammar pathway in our school in Strangford, and could that be seen as an opportunity for additional academic input and easy withdrawal from assemblies? My understanding is that most schools, a key point of their announcements in the morning are done in assemblies, which is also the key time when collective worship, an act of prayer, anything like that is done at the same time. Are we going to usher pupils out of the room just after the announcements are done? There's a few pragmatic and practical issues that I wouldn't mind looking and thinking about being worked out. Anyway, from an integrated perspective, I think that's something I want to touch on as well. The core principle of integrated education, and yes, I very much believe in it, and yes, very much buy into it, and I'm delighted, and I specifically wanted to return to Northern Ireland and work in an integrated school. But the core principles are equality, number one, parental involvement, social responsibility, and faith and values. But specifically in faith and values, it states fostering a Christian-based, non-denominational ethos that values individuals of all faiths and none. And for those of us in the integrated sector, we maybe feel the 3 decades now when the integrated movement was kind of making moves and kind of very difficult moves at the time, if anyone knows the histories of either Strangford, Malone or Lagan. Difficult histories and really charged by a lot of really motivated parents at the time. Some may still think to get it over the line at a certain time, fostering a Christian ethos, we have faith and values, and there is a bit of a tension where I suppose modern integrated schools are going with our diversity of people backgrounds, and we have this kind of principle from a while ago that maybe, this is the feedback that I would predominantly get from parents, I would say, is there a tension that exists in those two things? So anyway, just with regards to withdrawal and RE, I do think there's a balancing act, and I understand that head teachers as being, they're not revolutionists, they're very conservative people, right? They generally tend to be very conservative in their approaches, waiting for policy, and rightly so, that is their task, to implement policy in their school context. I do feel, when it comes to daily acts of worship, there may well be a path of least resistance approach is what I would call it. Maybe something that's suitably inoffensive, and maybe meaning that things like RE, collective worship, things like that, are maybe not engaged in the level that they actually could. I want to stand on a wee thing, I'll very quickly say this. I've a ton of anecdotes, but without getting into overstepping the mark, into telling you too much about all the antics that go on in our secondary schools in Northern Ireland. When I first started Strangford College, I think 5 days into it, I got 2 phone calls, withdrawal phone calls, from 2 separate parents. And this is the context in which RE is within, and we definitely do need clear policy, and I think this kind of typifies the reason why this is the case. One was saying, as has already been mentioned by some of our colleagues here, I would like to withdraw my kids from RE, these are year 10 pupils, based on the grounds of we're from a Christian family, RE isn't Christian enough. And on the same day, the same year group, a class apart, the only thing that separated these pupils was their surnames alphabetically. Another one, parent phoned up and said, oh, we don't want anything to do with that stuff. And by that stuff they meant religion in schools, full stop. We had that when I was in school, back whenever, we have that. And I suppose that's where teachers need to navigate. I think where teachers have been left in the lurch a wee bit is maybe a vacuum of clear policy and direction. I suppose when we're coming and looking at drafting groups, that's what I would like to see from a teacher perspective, a bit of clear policy to help guide very hard-working RE teachers already. We are trying to navigate, and head teachers as well, and non-subject specialists and teaching and learning assistants. We are very much trying to navigate an already very difficult set of circumstances. Thank you very much.